Welcome to Reprogramming, a panel about how we watch TV and how that's changing in the future. We have some special guests here to talk about what their companies are doing to change about where you watch TV, how you watch it, and when you watch it. First, I'd like to introduce Jim Denny from TiVo. In a moment. We also have Raghutara from Sling and Idan Cohen from Boxy to talk about the technology that's changing how we watch TV. And here we have Jim. Welcome. We've got the TiVo Stream and the TiVo Mini here on stage. Fantastic. We also have Idan Cohen from Boxy. May arrive shortly.
Step aside for a minute.
But we're here. You've got your two newest boxes. We have the TiVo Stream and the TiVo Mini. Can you talk a little bit about how these are changing? You guys have been around changing when we watch TV.
Right.
What do these do? What is it for the next steps?
So both are around how you watch TV and where you might watch TV. So this is mine. I know. It's on. So are they? Try again. You want to see how Jim?
Yeah. Well, they can't hear you, but they can hear me. The TiVo Mini is changing where you watch TV. Your multiple. Now they can hear you.
There we go. Is that better? Okay, we got it. So I'll talk to both. The TiVo Mini. Here, I'll take that one. The TiVo Mini we actually just launched in retail last week. It's about taking the TiVo experience to another TV in your house. So it basically replicates the TiVo experience from the main TiVo DVR and brings it to another room. But it uses the tuners and the hard drive, and it basically takes all your recordings and just makes them available in another room within the house. So it's an extender. It's basically a home extender to a TV, so intended to be a TV. The TiVo Stream is different in that it attaches to your home network, and it redistributes your TiVo recordings and your TiVo content to mobile devices within the home. So it basically makes your iPad another TV. These are both about, as you mentioned, Richard, we've been focusing a lot about time shifting and making TV when you want to have it. Now it's about where you want to have it. Excellent. Which I think is a theme we're going to talk about quite a bit today.
Definitely. Have a seat. And I believe we should eventually have Idan Cohen from Boxy as well. They've changed a lot about where we watch TV, where we get our sources. That's something TiVo does too. Can you talk a little bit about the apps that you guys have created and where we're getting internet TV now? Because you don't just do cable anymore. You don't just do over the antenna.
Yeah, and you'll see a lot of this. And I think when the other guests come out, we'll talk about that quite a bit. More and more over the last 6 years-ish, you see content sources from content from a lot of different sources. So we started 6 years ago by integrating Amazon. At that time, it was called Amazon Video on Demand, now called Amazon Streaming, into the TiVo box, and combining with your cable experience. So getting all your cable channels, getting things from Amazon, getting things from Netflix. More and more, you're seeing a lot more content from other sources. A lot of, and I think we'll get into this a little bit more. A lot of what you'll see is about. You really want to, you don't want to exclude any of those sources. You want to be able to get your content no matter where it comes from, all in one place.
Excellent. And here we have Idan Cohen from Sling. Great to have you.
Hi, great to be here.
Thanks for joining us at Expand. Anyone who's watching, anyone in the crowd, if you have any questions for our guests, please tweet us at #ExpandXF or #TV, and we'll go ahead and get those and ask them about the products and how they're changing the way that we watch TV in the future. Now, that's something Boxy has been all about. You've changed formats, change sources, and now with the Boxy TV, you've gotten a little bit more traditional. Let's sit down and have a discussion about where we're going in the future. Can you tell us a little bit about that change for Boxy, from where you were when you originally came out a couple of years ago and what you have now with the new Boxy TV?
Yeah, so for us, the grand vision never changed. When we started the company 5 years ago, we really wanted to kind of reimagine and recreate the experience of TV for what we thought is our generation or how it should be. And even though we started from a piece of software and then we turned into a device that did a lot of things and people were very excited about, and mainly tried to bring together internet and home media. What we saw is that we're still lacking to bring those live events. And all of those live shows that happen on TV in broadcast. And when we looked at it a little more, we started playing around with it, and a year and a half ago we released the Boxy Live TV, which was an addition to the previous box. And suddenly we saw that there's so much content still in regular broadcast, coming over the air for free for everyone in HD quality. And we said, there's really something that can be done here. And our new device, the Boxy TV that was released in November, was the way that we tried to reimagine it. So you can think about it a little bit, and it's interesting because this panel is a little bit kind of composing all of that together. So when we need to describe it in a sentence, it's a Sling, a TiVo, and an Apple TV in one device. So what happens is you have a digital antenna where you can get over-the-air signal. So you'll get ABC, NBC, Fox, CBS, PBS, IN, CW, and a bunch of other channels. So about 25 to 50 channels, depends on where you are. In HD quality, you'll be able to watch them live, but you'll also be able to record them. And what we developed is the first ever cloud DVR. So when you record them, it records into the cloud, and you can watch it on any device, so either on your TV, but also on your iPad, on your laptop, on your iPhone, when you're in the house or when you're outside of the house. And so you can watch the recorded shows, but you can also tune into live TV. So if you're, for instance, here now I live in New York, I want to tune into maybe a March Madness game that's now on and is playing is playing in New York on a local channel, I can tune into that and watch it on my device from here. And then in addition, obviously, you have Netflix and Vudu and a bunch of other of the apps that we all use and like.
Excellent. Now, both of you have products that blend not only live TV, also internet sources, recorded TV. You have the cloud DVR functions in the new Boxy. How do you feel consumers are asking, or how do they respond to products that have this blend of content? Are they getting used to the new world where you can get video from so many different places?
I think part of that depends on how it's presented, but I think for the most part, consumers expect to be able to get content no matter what the source is. More and more, even the industry players are embracing that model. Whereas I think if you looked at this 3 years ago, you would have had maybe the pay TV operators thinking that I want only my content or only the content from my sources, and other people saying I want to have just explicit over the top or I want explicit over the air. I think more and more the model is each of the players is going to embrace content no matter what the source is. And it's a matter of just prioritization, but it's a matter of blending all these things into one. Because you see different types of content coming from different sources, right? What was traditionally internet content, we'll call it traditionally, internet content is come up, the quality of the production has come up, the market has expanded greatly. So I think consumers are getting used to a much wider variety of content in their daily lives.
Is that something you guys have seen as well? I know especially with Boxy, because you do local content, you've been so focused on the internet from the beginning. Is that something that you've seen that customers asked for when you came out with the first box and now with the second?
Yeah, I think that what we always try to look at in the way we kind of approached it is how can we help the consumer on one hand get all of this content that he wants, and on the other really lower the cost of what he's paying. So I think that in some cases people will have to make some kind of sacrifice, and some content that they'll be interested in is not going to be accessible. But then on the other hand, when you start blending both of these worlds and creating ubiquitous access to all of it, either at home or on devices, that's when it starts getting interesting.
Now, talking about access on different devices, that's again something that both of you are very deeply involved in. We just talked about, especially with the TiVo Mini, bringing content to other screens, another function of the Boxy TV that you can watch it not only wherever you want, but on whatever screen you want. Can you talk a little bit about bringing it to mobile? You got your mobile apps, specifically when it comes to watching video and bringing a TV experience to a mobile device.
Yeah, so if you think about mobile, I think you should think about mobile. We'll talk about a tablet initially. There are a few different functions that it provides. One, it can complement your TV experience. So as you're watching video or whatever you're watching on TV, you can create a second screen experience. That's what the TiVo app started out as. So the TiVo app started out as a control system. So it's basically a way to bring parts of the UI to the tablet, so you can see your My Shows list, so you can see all your recordings, you can control the TV. You can get a lot of the discovery tools, so all the search and browse tools, all the content discovery tools work there. And then for a given show, it would show you information about the show, so actor, director, or other things you might like, and taking a piece of that and putting it into a tablet. I think the second phase you're starting to see now is taking and making the tablet or the phone itself the video consumption device. So TiVo Stream does that for us in bringing all your recordings and making them available on your tablet. And that is slightly different, right? The purpose is different. The other thing that you can do with Stream is take things on the road with you. So it'll actually download, it'll transcode and then download the content on the tablet itself or on the phone itself, and then you can have access to it independent of network. That's pretty much the plane use, right? When you're on a plane, that's how you need to get to it. So I think the other thing is when you start to have video available on all these devices, it starts to be the TV. It's effectively a personal TV device. And something we did with Virgin Media in the UK is they have a lot of live TV. They start out with 35. They're up to something in the area of 45 now. They have live TV streams going all the time, delivered via IP. So now, in addition, and the guide, in addition to be able to control your TV, you can choose any one of these and just watch them live on the tablet within the same app. And for us, a big theme for us is about blending the TV experience, the mobile experience, and the multi-format experience all into one.
Excellent. Now, the new Boxy TV especially, can you describe a little bit more, maybe for people who aren't as familiar with the new product and how it enables video on mobile and what that creates for you?
Yes. So first of all, the box itself is $99. You can get it currently at Walmart. We have an exclusive distribution deal with them. And then you can record. So we have a similar experience as Jim was talking about. So on your tablet or on your laptop, you can access the lineup or the guide and see all of the shows that you like. You can just subscribe to these shows, whatever you're interested in. And because we're recording in the cloud, and that's kind of one of the key features of our offering, is that there's no limit to what you can record. So there are no limits to the amount of content that you can keep in that, in your space in the cloud. So for instance, I can tell you that my box has been running at home for like 3 months, and with all of, for instance, all of the reruns and stuff like that, I have complete full seasons of most of the shows that I'm interested in, and I never need to delete anything. So all of those binge viewing that we all like to do over the weekend, or once a show kind of gets into 2 or 3 seasons long, 2 or 3 seasons in, that's a great way to do all of that. Then the other thing is, because it's already in the cloud, it's really easy for us to serve it into any other device. So currently you do it through a web experience. Very soon we're going to release actual apps for the iPhone, iPad, and Android, and then you'll be able to access it from there. And again, what we call side loading, so being able to sync it down to the device. So if you go up on a flight, if you go on a road trip, whatever, you can still access all of that even if you don't have a connection.
Is that something that you think is changing the way people expect to interact with TV when you talk about binge viewing, especially being able to access an entire season of a show all at once? We've seen, or the way that Netflix releases their programs now, we've seen House of Cards kind of take over and everyone watch season 1 in 1 day or 2 or just
Exactly.
a weekend.
Yeah, I think it's extremely interesting, and I think it's kind of it's on both edges. So I think that on one hand, just people that are fans and follow closely a specific show, their ability to kind of, as House of Cards went out, to in 1 weekend consume everything. But on the other hand, even 6 months or a year from now, be able to access that show and watch everything at once and not be, not have to kind of wait for reruns or something specific like that. And we see it more and more. You just, the way that people consume, we're all living a busy life. We're not there when something is on. Obviously, that's a behavior that's been around for a while. But just that ability to once in a while over the weekend tune into 3 or 4 episodes and then do it again later again. And I think it's very symptomatic.
Now, TiVo, you led the charge for the DVR. Do you kind of take credit for creating this whole binge viewing rage? I mean, you guys started it before that and before box sets of DVDs. I don't think people would necessarily expect to be able to watch 5 or 6 seasons of a show all at once. But now with their TiVo, with streaming video, it's just there.
Yeah, I think the thing that TiVo and the DVR did is set the stage for time independence, right? Like appointment viewing went away years ago, or for at least half of the U.S. went away years ago. So certainly, I think it's if you look at the progression over the last, say, 15 years even, people have more and more control over what they watch and how they watch it. And I think the interesting thing is if you talked about IP distribution or different distribution models 10 years ago, there was a lot of resistance within the industry to change. I think you see a lot less of that now. And people are used to being able to watch what they want substantially when they want it. They're demanding to see it more on more devices and having the tablet and the phone act as a viewing device as well. And I think that presents a few challenges. Content starts to become more and more overwhelming. There's kind of two binary cases here. You either end up watching the same things that you watched traditionally, and you're not expanding a ton past that, or you've got basically a world of infinite choice, and you're faced with a bunch of decisions all the time. So I think another thing that is that we're focusing on certainly is discovery tools. So how do you navigate through all this content? How do you identify the things you really like, get recommendations from the things that you really like? How do you connect with friends or have more conversations about shows or movies, et cetera, that you like? So expanding and navigating that world of infinite choice, I think, is a byproduct of all of the different content options that you have.
Do you think that the second screen, social media integration, do those help solve these problems, or do they make it even more complicated for companies like Boxee and TiVo?
Well, I think second screen gives you it presents an opportunity, especially as more and more people have that second screen open, whether it's a tablet, a phone, or a PC. The challenge with interactive TV has been around for 20 years, right? I think the Time Warner experiment down in Florida was 1996 or something along those lines, or before. But when trying to create interactive television, it was about affecting the viewing experience, right? The thing that the second screen allows you to do is you can have a secondary experience going on and not interfere with your viewing experience. I think that's the thing that you want to try to take advantage of.
Is that something that you've also seen, the way that people interact with your boxes, not just with a traditional remote, trying to build for that, but also build for what people expect for using their mobile device?
Yeah, so I think it depends what we are talking about when you're talking about the second screen experience. So what we are looking at when we're building our second screen is much more on being able to discover and being able to kind of manage your viewing. So manage your device, manage your recordings, tune into a specific episode or a specific show or event. I think that there's another part of second screen which is much more just the interaction as the show is happening. And that's something that we're not necessarily trying to solve. I think that there's other experiences that are more right for it. So for instance, there's no reason for us to try and take over what Twitter is doing or what you can do with Twitter as you're watching a show, because that experience is happening there. That's the place to be.
Right.
So from our perspective, we'll definitely try to focus on our content, the content that's available on our device, managing it and discovering it.
Excellent. And we have Raghu Tara from Sling. Thank you for joining us.
Hi. Sorry about that.
No problem. Now, Sling is specifically meant for people when you're at an event like this, and I'm in San Francisco, my TV is at home. You've changed that I can watch video no matter where I am. Can you talk a little bit about how Sling has developed and place shifting? We talked about changing when you can watch TV, having access to different formats,
Yep.
but having access to a TV in a different place, live TV. That's what Sling has really pioneered. As you go forward, what do you think changes in the future when people have more expectations of being able to access their TV anywhere, not just in their living room at a particular time?
Right. I think if you generally look at the fundamental notion of place shifting, which is the category we created, just like TiVo created time shifting, we haven't changed much since the time we launched in 2005. Of course, our products have gotten better in terms of the quality of video that we are able to deliver. Last fall, when we released the new set of products, they just pushed the bar all the way up. Now we can do 1080p HD place shifting. And more important is, we've constantly looked at offering the quality and the best class in product quality at a lower price, at an affordable price. So you have one product right now selling at about $179 that provides 1080p HD place shifting, the most affordable place shifter, and it just allows the consumers to get whatever content they are getting in their home and what they are already paying for on any mobile device, any PC, any Mac, anywhere in the world. And what is more important is, there has been a subscription fatigue, and that continues to happen for consumers. People really don't want to pay over and over again, no matter in what shape or form it is. And that's the value proposition we drive with our Sling boxes. You buy the Sling box once, you install it at home, there are no monthly fees. And you make an app purchase for your mobile platforms, whether it's tablet or phone, and you can then watch your content that you already subscribed for wherever you are.
Now, is that something that you guys have seen as well, where you have so many subscriptions? We talked about access to content from different locations. You have much of the same content sometimes available, not just on pay TV, for example, or on over the air, but also on Netflix or Amazon or Hulu or any of these services. Is that something that you're concerned with customers having to sign up to so many services to get access to, or have logins for different video on demand providers?
I don't think we're worried about that, specifically because in our case, most of our customers who have a boxy TV usually use an antenna, and that's something that's completely free. So that main bulk of pay TV subscription, over $100, throw that out the door, that's not relevant. So now they're probably paying $8 a month for Netflix, and some movies that they'll be buying on Vudu, and maybe for another service, and then we'll start charging $10 a month once we go out of beta for our DVR service. But that's not a lot. If you compare that to any other option or alternative that's out there, we're talking about $25 or less than that in order to get all of your or most of your content. I think that's totally fair, and I don't think that that's something that we should be worried about.
Now, from TiVo's perspective, for that same thing, you have a slightly different issue or approach because so many of your customers are using cable. Also, just to take one of the questions that was tweeted in, well, how's the response been to the TiVo Mini and the subscription fee for the second room box?
I think for the most part, people don't like subscriptions, right? If you're giving me a choice of free or pay something as a consumer, I'm going to take free. But I think it's about unlocking the value of what you're already paying for. So we were talking a bit about the different content sources and whether you have a cable bill or not. The vast majority of content still comes or is made available through pay TV services. In the U.S., it accounts for about 85% of the U.S. households. So a lot of people are using pay TV services in the first place. Our value proposition is about unlocking the value that you're already paying for. So getting more out of the things that you're already paying for. We spend a lot of time integrating in the discovery process, integrating all your linear channels, all your Netflix, Amazon, in the Bay Area, Xfinity VOD. The ultimate vision is I want you to be able to sit down in front of your TV, think about something you might want to watch, and find it no matter where it's, if it's available from someplace, I want you to be able to find it, I want you to be able to take action and watch it right away. Some of those things that you find are going to require a subscription, and some are not. And as an individual, each individual consumer is going to make the choice of what is of value to them and what isn't. When we design our UI, we try to make it as simple as possible, right? So you can go to search, and if you search for 30 Rock, I want to be able to tell you you can get 30 Rock. It's playing in reruns, coming up this Tuesday. You've got 5 of them or 10 of them or however many of them sitting on your disk. You can, X number of episodes are available from Netflix. You can buy any individual episode if you're a real fan of one from Amazon, and put all that choice into the consumer's hands, but not make it overwhelming so you have to make a decision all the time, right? It's very content-centric. So getting back to your original, your early question about subscription fees, I think that the vast majority of people accept that content costs something, and they're willing to pay for it. But the key is giving people choice, right? If you want to minimize your expenses, but have a smaller range of content, that's completely accessible. TiVo supports over the air as well. So you put in an ATSC antenna, really outside of the Boxy offering in beta. We're the only ATSC DVR available on the market as well. So you want to use ATSC over the air as your main content source and marry it with Netflix or Amazon, you're more than welcome to do that. You have a cable, you're already paying for a cable bill, use TiVo, get more out of the cable that you're already paying for.
Mm-hmm. And as far as the Mini, how's the consumer response been to that? Because there's been some question about paying for the second room to get DVR access, also having a subscription fee versus lifetime fee. That's something that TiVo has always tried to balance. What do you think customers prefer, and what kind of options can you potentially provide them in the future?
So for Mini in particular, one, it just went out last week. So I can't tell you demand high, low, or whatever. We've been very happy with demand so far, but it's a week old. So we actually launched this with we have a wholesale business and a retail business. So we launched this with some of our wholesale partners in the fall, and I'll tell you the demand has been very high. People want all their TV in all the rooms. In terms of the fee for Mini, when you have Mini, it's using the tuner off of the main DVR. You're no longer paying your digital outlet fee to your cable provider. So that second screen that you are already typically paying for today, Mini takes the place of that. So we feel like there's a lot of value being brought out of that already. And if you do the math, it's either even for a much better experience, or it's slightly less than what the majority of people are already paying.
I want to thank Peter Easton for that question. Again, if you have any questions for any of our panelists, please tweet us with the hashtag TV and ExpandSF. Now for Sling, you introduced a new iPad app at CES. How do you think that changes the way that people have learned to interact with your products, and what kind of new features does that bring?
Well, I assume you're asking about the new iPad Slingbox companion app. Yes. We demoed and we launched it at CES. We are almost about to release it for the consumers. So what we have realized is, in terms of consumers being able to watch content on any of their devices anywhere, that's clearly a key driver. But besides the fact, and this could be an entirely different topic about how you interact with the content on the first screen, we realized that we have the capability to provide much more richer experiences for the Slingbox consumer. So we've launched an app that allows the user to be able to control the content on the first screen if you already own a Slingbox, and make it even more richer by providing the social integration, providing recommendations. And that's the path that we have taken on with this new app that we talked about at CES, and it's called Slingbox Companion. It's a very enriching experience in terms of the UI and UX. It allows you to find what's really hot, what's trending at this point in time in a particular area. And if you have that subscription, or if you have that content on your subscription, cable or satellite, you would actually be able to control your source to be able to change to that channel.
Is that something that customers have been asking for Sling? Not just, okay, can I stream it on my computer or stream it to my various devices, to be able to stream it on a TV somewhere else?
Yes, so a lot of this has been the result of customer feedback coming in. One of the most common things that customers have pointed out is we do have a control of the source set-top box. We control it using an IR blaster. So it just makes sense to extend that even beyond. If you are not really place shifting, if you are not watching the content elsewhere, but you're sitting right in the living room in front of the TV, why can't I be able to do some of these interactive actions? So I think that's the reason why we got this Slingbox Companion out.
And that's been a major change for Sling, not just a hardware, but also kind of as an embedded service and in other products for the player, and now for the companion app on your mobile device. Is that something that you guys have seen also? One commonality that you all have, you sell a box.
Yes.
As much of your product. Do you see perhaps the Boxy TV the possibility of it as an embedded product in other devices, in other TVs, or other set-top boxes, or just any way that someone could build that in?
Yeah, so from our perspective, for us, the box is a little bit of a Trojan horse for the meantime. It's a way to get into the house and to get our early consumers or customers using it. But moving forward, the bare bones, if you look at what's inside of a boxy device, it actually all exists right now in your TV. There's tuners, there's some kind of a processor that can probably do what we need it to do. So for us, the logical moves forward in the next year or two would be to get our software and experience and the DVR, the boxy DVR service running on TVs. So there's no reason that the TV that you just got, which is a smart TV already, will have a service like Boxy specifically for slinging or watching whatever you want outside of the house or recording it into the cloud. That's definitely the way forward for us.
Is that's something that TiVo is considered also? I know that we had a TV from Best Buy that had TiVo functionality into it. Right. We have the TiVo Mini for extra rooms. Is that a possibility that you could use other hardware to watch video either from your TiVo or to have the same kind of functionality in menus?
Yeah, I think it depends on what exactly you're trying to replicate. I think there are things that you can replicate and things that you can't under today's technology. But I think if you look 5 to 10 years out, more and more you want to eliminate the number of devices that you have to interact with. TV might be one connected TVs might be one path to do that. Another device might be another. If you look at the life cycle of a TV, and this is what we constantly have debates about with colleagues, the life cycle of a TV tends to be longer. I think it's actually shortened. It used to be close to 20 years. I think it's shortened down to about something in the family of 7. But it still tends to be a longer term purchase. Swapping out a TV and putting in a new TV, I don't want to do that often if I don't have to. So I think there are benefits to having some capabilities outside or a module outside of the TV that I can change out as technology changes and take advantage of new things. That said, you're going to see more and more cloud delivery of content. So it's this blending, this cloud delivery, and this locally stored content that I think is going to be the trend that you want to stay in front of.
Now, going forward, I think you had mentioned this a bit earlier. Managing customer expectations or responding to what customers expect to be able to access their TV. We've talked about how you're all changing it. What do you think people want in the future? Just more of the features that you've already shown off, being able to combine them, not having to necessarily worry about where their content is siloed when you introduce features like universal search that is search across providers.
Yeah. It's interesting. I have a slightly different philosophy when it comes to do consumers know what they want. I think the reality is most of the time consumers don't know what they want because they don't necessarily know what's possible. So it's our job, I think it's everybody's here's job, to experiment with different things and expose different visions, right? To espouse different visions and be able to give people choices. We do a lot of, as you might imagine, we do a lot of market research. We do a lot of studies both within our install base and just in general about TV. And the bottom line is it's not rocket science. Content is king, right? Content's important. Get me as much of it as you can. Make it as simple as possible. I don't want TV to be work, right? I don't want to have to go through 15 different menus to find the thing I'm trying to watch. And ultimately, it was interesting. We've done 2 studies, and they both kind of alluded to the same thing, independent of age, demographic, or any other variants. TV is about relaxation and escapism, right? It's an entertainment media. You sit down, you want to watch something you want to watch. Yep. That's what it's about. So we talk a lot about technology. You need to make sure that technology doesn't get in the way of the ultimate mission, and that is just sitting down and being able to watch what you want to watch. I think that the thing that's made this more complicated, as we talked about, is you got a lot of different sources. So what you want to watch might be much different today than it is in 5 years. So,
is that something that you've seen also from Sling that you may be able to help with? Because it's become more complicated managing our different sources, where we can watch, when we can watch. What's right. Sling's perspective on that?
You're absolutely right. And I think to Jim's point, you really want this whole experience to be made as simple as possible for the consumer, because watching TV is not a project. You just lean back, you watch the TV shows that you enjoy, and you relax. So one of the things that Sling has been very actively working on is partnering and embedding this technology directly into the set-top box. And I'm sure you must have read about some of the recent announcements. Dish Networks has been our biggest partner. We've been actively working them for about 3 years now. And a lot of this technology that you see in the Sling boxes that consumers go out and buy, all of that technology is embedded directly into the box. This, in my opinion, actually helps to get the feature and the technology and the capability into the mainstream. Think about it. When you are using a standalone Sling box, the experience is still disjointed in a way because you are getting the content from the analog source. You can obviously watch it, but put this technology into a box that has multiple tuners, and you have got access to the stream and the metadata and the guide information in the box. You can provide much more compelling experiences to the consumer, and that's what we have done with Dish. The Dish Anywhere app that anyone can download on a tablet or on a phone provides you with much more capability in terms of searching for the content, whether the content comes from the set-top box or it comes from the cloud or from the DVR, your personal DVR. All of that is very, very seamless. And we personally believe that the more and more tighter integration of this technology happens directly in the set-top box or on media gateways, if you will, those experiences will continue to become more richer and richer.
And has that been an issue for Boxy as well? You've got so many different content sources changing from the old box to the new box. How do you help your customers manage that and help them access what they want to get to when they want to and figure out where it is?
So I think we proved it in our old Boxy box that we can deliver an amazing experience when it comes to content discovery. And we had a guide or a library that kind of meshed together all of the content sources, be it your home content or any type of source from the internet or services from the internet. And then a search that went through all of that. And then also recommending the type of content that's interesting for you. We definitely need to play catch up a little bit with our current device. We were working hard on some of the newer technologies that we didn't get to implement everything we wanted. And unlike the old Boxy box, what we found out is that the right place to do it is definitely in the second screen. So it's on the tablet that's sitting on your lap, it's on the laptop that's anyhow next to you on the couch, and that's where you'll see it coming. And we're working on that, and that will be available very soon.
As far as features for the new box, one of the questions we received is from our friend Dave Zatz. He wanted to know, when will the Boxy TV be able to pause live TV?
So we've been working on that. It's a little harder of a problem for us to solve, obviously, because we don't have a storage inside of the device itself. And everything that you record goes up into the cloud and then comes down back. So for us, for instance, if you want to pause live TV, we need to find a way to do that, which is a little more creative. We've been thinking about that, and we have a few possible solutions, and we will have something available that will solve it.
What kind of engineering considerations did you have building the new Boxy TV device so that you can do that you can record the TV that's coming into it and upload it to your cloud DVR?
So we've been, one of the main things was to really see how we can create, if you look at the devices or the other devices out there, so there's definitely a segment of the streamers or kind of the Roku and the Apple TV that are going under $100, and then there's the more expensive devices that are kind of Sling and TiVo that go for $100 and some even way more. And we wanted to try and push the price as low as possible. We knew that we wanted to offer DVR, and we knew that we were sitting on this technology that was very exciting for us of how we can actually get the signal back into the internet and into your own storage. And one of the ways to actually do that was to eliminate the need for storage, which is a very expensive component. So that's how we managed to get to $99. And there is definitely a very interesting patented technology that allows us to bring that signal into the cloud very efficiently and then serve it back after we adapt it to any device that you might be consuming it on. So obviously you'll get the best experience. You'll get a full HD or 720p, which is what comes down from over-the-air signal when you watch it on a TV. But if you watch it on your phone, you'll get or maybe on a phone with a 3G connection, you'll get the right type of signal for that.
Another question that we had came in asking, do you see any ways to approach the problem of getting live sports without a pay TV subscription? Is that something that you think is coming, or a problem that's a little bit more complex to solve?
I think that problem is around licensing. If you look at what is paid for the rights for sports, finding a free source is going to be really hard. The sports leagues know what they have. It's a value, right? So the best free source you have right now is over-the-air broadcast. And then each of the leagues is starting their own offerings as well, right? So MLB has MLB TV. So I think you'll see more direct content, direct channels as well. But you know, the rights to sports content are not cheap. So unless somebody comes up with the magic of being able to pay a lot on one side and charge nothing on the other side, I think you'll see that tied to some sort of subscription for a long time.
Solving the issues of watching sports, I think, is one of the killer apps of Sling for sports fans. I've got to be able to watch my local game whether or not I'm at home, and off on a can, it's blacked out even if I subscribe or pay for, you know, like NFL's package or the NBA package. Is that something that you guys see? Is that where your opportunity is going forward because of the issues that are going to continue, as he said, with licensing sports?
Yeah, I think clearly that's an opportunity for Sling. But even more important is today you will hear some arguments from various people in terms of, hey, I can actually get access to HBO content. So you have the HBO Go. And by the way, it's a great app, great experience. And you have a whole bunch of other apps, even from MLB, right? The point is the experience is still very, very fragmented. You can have like 10 different apps on your iPad, and every time you want to watch a particular piece of content, you have to click, open up an app, go through that. And in some cases, just like HBO Go, you still require an authentication with a pay TV service. So that's where we believe the value of Sling is. There is no confusion for the customer. It's one single app that's a gateway to all the content that you're already getting on your pay TV subscription. And even more important is you can watch the content within the home or outside the home. So clearly, yes, we do see that as a great opportunity. We'll continue to expand and grow that opportunity. And beyond that, we've also started to find out what are the other things that consumers would want on the first screen, which is the main TV. And to some extent, we've started introducing new features on our high-end product in the retail, like the Sling projector feature. The Sling Sync is something that we demonstrated at CES. The teams are working hard to actually roll that out. And those will start focusing more and more on personal content. And we believe personal content for consumers is also a very valuable piece of content besides what they get for linear TV or on-demand TV.
Is that a question that Boxy TV users have as well? Because, as you mentioned, being able to get your content over the air, so much stuff is locked away in pay TV services now.
Yeah.
How do you address that?
So we don't have a way to address it. I mean, it's just this is the way it is, and you know so when we go and we market our device to customers, it's obvious that it's not going to solve the problem for some specific people. You know, if you're an avid sports fan, that's not going to be the solution for you. If you need I don't know, if you're an avid reality show and you need Bravo, that's not going to be the solution for you. But there is a segment, and when you look at the market, so we value that segment in the market. So probably about 10% of the households, or a little less than that, currently have an antenna already, an HD antenna at home. So these are definitely the people that should go out and buy a Boxy TV right now. If you have an antenna, you have to get that thing. the Boxy TV is the best thing that you can do to your antenna. It will just supercharge your experience and for a very low cost. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is that when we look at it, there is about 30% of the market that is already on with pay TV, but is not really consuming. You know, he's on a basic cable package. He's probably doesn't have HBO or doesn't have like wide sports packages. And then again, that's exactly where Boxy can be a great solution. And moving forward, we definitely also would like to see how we can. We know that the antenna is a limitation in some cases. Not everyone has perfect reception, and we would like to be able to work with a basic cable signal in order to get those types of content working on the box as well.
And for that, you've really had to work with content providers, and at times I think there have been issues with all these companies working with the entrenched media and pay TV subscriber and pay TV companies. Is that something that you've had to address as content protection, dealing with the media, convincing them that you're not just a bunch of pirates or enabling piracy, or dealing with that from your customers?
So we definitely we were off to a little bumpy start with Boxy. I think that because of our early type of early adopter crowd and the first Boxy app that would work on a laptop or a PC or an Apple TV, the first generation Apple TV, then there was a little bit of a trust that we had to solve with the content providers a long time. But I think that now we see eye to eye. You know, the opportunities for them when you look at an offering like Boxy are actually very interesting. If they today, when someone goes and watches something, their content on a DVR, let's say that someone wants to go and watch a whole season that he's been recording, they see nothing out of that. And the potential to actually somehow reinvigorate that content or kind of add a different aspect to it and reach it with more additional types of you know, exactly what you'd get on DVD experience, right? Or those special pieces of content that you don't get on TV. I think that becomes very interesting, and working with the content providers and bringing that into our experience of having everything in the cloud and not specifically locally trapped inside of a device in your living room. There's a lot of potential there.
Definitely. We have just a couple of more minutes, but is that something that you've addressed with Sling? I know that there have at times been different lawsuits with Dish and the integration. Something that you would address with the industry and convincing them how people can access their content in different places and that doesn't affect their rights.
Right. Well, first off, I think we have been working very closely with content providers in general. We have always been discussing the possibilities of expanding the scope of the content reaching the consumers, which is exactly what we do with Sling. And in terms of addressing their concerns, and you guys already know this, the Sling technology allows only point-to-point connection. It's only one stream at a time. We don't even allow broadcast within the home. So we've been very, very careful in terms of what we can allow the consumer to do and what the consumer's fair use policy is in terms of being able to consume that content. All our Sling boxes that we sell in retail, you cannot actually use the box unless you create your own account. You have authentication and credentials for that. And on top of that, we also protect the streams as they get more and more closer to high definition. We actually encrypt the stream even at all resolutions, but our encryption at high definition streams, they are more industry standard in terms of 128-bit security. We apply all those precautions. So we're actually good for the content guys.
Is that the same way that TiVo sees it, is that you're actually good for the content providers?
Of course, we're good for the content providers. I think the key is this is all about balance. As you mentioned, each of these companies has challenged the status quo in some way, shape, or form, and that causes some friction, right? I think TiVo has done a good job, and all of us actually in the individual areas have done a good job of trying to balance the needs of the consumers, the rights of the consumers with industry. In terms of piracy, we pay a lot of attention to piracy, right? I don't want to be a source for pirates. I've got a lot of friends that work in the industry. They should be compensated for their content, right? That's what they do for a living. At the same time, consumers should have flexibility, right? If you're already paying for the content, you should be able to watch it where you want to watch it. You should be able to watch it when you want to watch it. So I think it's always a matter of balance. And again, coming back to the balance that we're trying to achieve all the time is make it easy for the consumer, get all the content you want, no matter where you want it and what time you want it, and protect the rights of the content holders, so that you're making sure that people that are doing this for a living, the people that are providing this entertainment value, are appropriately compensated.
And that's our time. I'd like to thank all of my panelists for joining us here at Expand SF. I hope that you guys enjoyed it and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much.